just threw away all my hopes and dreams.
And he's still on his feet.
Everything that I wanted to do, out the window.
Coming up on Crime Files.
Ayman Marji had it all. You were a star football player.
Yes.
Very popular guy. Then lost it all in an instant.
I'm not a bad person. I made a horrible decision.
That decision left one man dead, his victim's family grieving for nearly 2 decades.
You don't go up to a person and shoot him from behind. This man is evil.
This is the story of shattered dreams, the result of a fatal turf war that tragically ended in murder.
It was almost like willy-nilly. I mean, it was like no rhyme or reason.
And one man's grasp at forgiveness as he looks forward to the possibility of a fresh beginning outside these prison walls. The biggest regret you have?
Picking it back up.
Do you think it's all a show?
Yes, definitely a show.
Crime Files starts now.
This is the first time I ever talked about this on camera. This is the first time.
Woodbourne Correctional Facility is worlds away from Roosevelt High School. 30 minutes outside of New York City, it's been featured in movies and even TV commercials. Rapper Mary J. Blige and rocker Steven Tyler are alums, and so is Ayman Marji.
Ayman Marji, cutting the corner.
Once a standout running back, the convicted killer was captain of his high school's winning football team. You were a well-known guy. You were a star football player.
Yes.
Prison is now home to the high school all-star. So you've had a lot of time to kind of...
Reflect?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Who's serving 20 years to life for the 2004 murder of Omar Torres Colon.
Omar was really happy. He was a happy, hardworking, family person. Loved his family so much. He loved to be around the kids. He loved to be around the family.
You miss him?
Yes, very much, very much. My brother did not deserve this. He did not deserve this.
I remember the crime tape well, like it was yesterday. It was only a week before Christmas, and the reason I remember this all so well is because I was only a few weeks into my job here at News 12. The phone rings in the newsroom, and we found out that gunfire erupted on a busy stretch of Yonkers Avenue in broad daylight. A memorial to 26-year-old Omar Torres Colon still lies in the same place where someone shot him. The senseless drive-by shooting exposed the underbelly of a growing city, best known for its tree-lined streets, its views of the Hudson, and its diverse community.
There were gang wars that were going on. There were murders that took place. There were people who were executed. So when you look at turf wars that were taking place in the city of Yonkers, the Arabic and Hispanic community, they had a big conflict, and it resulted in a lot of drive-by shootings that took place on that Yonkers Avenue corridor.
You know, it was two sides kind of feuding. It seemed like the Arabic kids, they kind of clashed with the other group of Hispanics. The simple fact that Ayman ran up to a man on a crowded street at 2-something in the afternoon and think he was gonna get away with it was kind of crazy. Kind of crazy.
Here's the thing you need to know about Ayman Marji. He doesn't have your typical prisoner story. He was only 8 years old when his entire family immigrated from Jordan to Yonkers in pursuit of the American dream, to a community that housed and still does one of the largest Jordanian American communities in the United States.
My transition was fairly easy because, as you know, I come from a big family and I have a bunch of cousins around my age, which was easy to transition.
But once in school, fitting in became increasingly harder.
I was kind of like bullied and teased at a young age because I was like an outsider.
The self-proclaimed outsider actually grew up with two loving parents who supported him every step of the way. I mean, they gave this kid every opportunity to succeed in life. Still, his desire to live what he called the street life and his eagerness to find acceptance ultimately set him on a path of destruction he forever regrets.
The better I became in sports, the more popular I became. The more popular I became, I started hanging out with individuals that weren't beneficial for me, just to remain accepted, just to have that kind of reputation that I kind of like wanted.
What were these people like? What kind of lifestyle did you live?
Oh, I kind of like drug dealing, having guns. I was attracted to everything that it attracted. The fast women, the going out to partying, hanging out, drinking, you know, that's what I was attracted to.
They like the power of carrying weapons and having people fearful of them, and the bling, you know, having that reputation. You know, a lot of them just like that so much, you know, you couldn't get them out of that lifestyle, no matter what you did.
After graduating high school, Marji went on to play college football at the University of New Haven. But after just one semester, he dropped out. He missed his friends and the life that he left behind in Yonkers.
I miss being around the guys in the neighborhood that I came back. Probably one of the worst decisions I ever made in my life.
Marji enrolled locally at Manhattan College, majored in physical education, and even had a side gig coaching high school football. He seemed to be living an upstanding life. And then at nighttime, I was just being around the same negative influences, going out to clubs and getting girls and drinking, just thinking I'm having a good time with the guys. I was so naive to think that because I was doing all these positive things during the day, that the lifestyle I was leading at night wasn't gonna have an effect on me, and I was so wrong about that. The reality is, the pressure to find acceptance overpowered the life that his parents were trying to create for him here in America.
My reputation became so big that I almost disregarded everything I was taught by my parents, by my older brother, by my sisters. And I just wanted to feel accepted.
That need for acceptance ultimately landed Marji smack in the middle of a neighborhood turf war.
People were getting shot and killed because you came into my turf that you don't own, that's not your block. It was almost like willy-nilly. I mean, it was like no rhyme or reason behind these turf wars.
You know, it seemed like these two sides were going at it back and forth, between shooting at each other, stabbing each other, and until it finally came to a head. I know drugs were involved with both groups, that's for darn sure. I do know that.
For about maybe close to a 2-year range, we were feuding back and forth.
What was the beef over?
The sad thing is, after 17 and a half years, the only thing I could come up with was reputation. Who could get the most girls, who had more money, who drove the best cars.
On December 17, 2004, his feud with Colon comes to a head after Marji's cousin Zayed is the victim of a drive-by shooting. And to this day, Marji believes that it was Colon who fired the bullet that grazed his cousin. Ayman's cousin, you know, was shot. Is any member of your family responsible for that shooting?
No, absolutely not. They have many enemies. They were running the streets. They ran the city. They told everyone. You know, they were the kings of the city, and they believed they were invincible. And no, absolutely not.
We have several people who said he was driving around, flashing a gun, looking for them.
You know, now an incident occurs, now what you gonna do? You know, you got this reputation, you know, you can't back down. So he gets a gun, and he makes an instantaneous decision.
I received a phone call that same night. And I was told that I'm gonna be next and my mother's gonna be next. So I really believed at the time that my life, my family's life was in danger. I just knew I had to do something.
Still ahead.
Ayman Marji is looking for revenge, but what he does next will change his life and shatter the dreams of two families forever.
My whole intention was to go have a conversation with him, and I wanted to just stop, just tell him stop.
Plus,
You don't go up to a person and shoot them from behind. And they make sure his brains are all spread in the street. That is so wrong.
When crime files shatter dreams, the Omar Torres Colon murder continues. Crime Files continues with Shattered Dreams, the Omar Torres Colon murder.
This is the story about two families that were involved in turf war. And there was a retaliation for a shooting that had previously taken place. And that was the scene in the city of Yonkers. It was, if you shoot somebody on my turf, then I'm coming back for you. It was inevitable. You didn't know when, where, or how, but you could take it to the bank that there was going to be a retaliation.
On December 18, 2004, Ayman Marji, armed with a loaded handgun, went out looking for his rival, Omar Torres Colon. He believed that Colon was the one who shot his cousin Zayed the night before, and that he and his mother could be next.
My whole intention was to go have a conversation with him. Went to his neighborhood, I seen him. The first thing he did, reach inside of his jacket, try to get something out of his jacket. So and that's the point where I just blanked out. I just pointed the gun and I just ran away.
And what do you remember about that actual moment when you took out the gun?
I can't really put it in words how I actually felt that day. It's almost like it was another person committing all these acts. I just can't fully describe it in words. It's just like, when I look back at it now, it's like it was a person going through motions.
Police say Colon tried to run, but Marji fired 2 bullets in his head from a short distance away.
He never stood a chance. That's how those kinds of hits took place, when you least expected it.
My brother was coming out with his sandwich. He went to get his lunch at this deli that he usually goes. He was walking out with his sandwich in his hand. There was no weapon, there was no gun, there was no knife, nothing. He was coming out of the deli. Ayman followed him, shot him from behind. This was all planned. This is all planned. This is nothing casual. Because you don't just walk up to someone with a weapon and intend to kill him, no.
So you believe this was a premeditated murder?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
For 5 weeks, Yonkers police tried to piece together who shot Omar Torres Colon in broad daylight. And while neighbors out on the street were talking up a storm with us,
it's over turf. It's over turf. It started 3 years ago. They were shooting at each other up here in the park. And it just doesn't stop. And now lives are being taken.
former police detective Anthony Chiarella was having a hard time getting people to talk on the record. Why do you think so many people were afraid to talk to you?
It's retribution. I think they're scared of retribution. I mean, the whole shooting was retribution for, it seemed like these two sides were going at it back and forth.
Then Chiarella says he got a major break in the case. An eyewitness came forward and was willing to talk.
And we had one really solid witness who was a 16-year-old girl who had been going to church practice that Saturday afternoon and witnessed everything. She picked Ayman right out.
On December 8, 2005, Ayman Marji was convicted of killing his longtime rival Omar Torres Colon and later sentenced to 20 years to life. What are your most powerful memories from that trial?
Just seeing his family's breakdown of going through the trial.
We are hurting and we want justice for Omar.
All I want is for him to go to jail for 25 to life.
I can't imagine what their family went through. At the end of the day, my mom gets to hear my voice. I'm still alive. And for them not to able to do that and for him not to live out his dreams, I still have an opportunity to live out the rest of my dreams and the rest of my life. And for him to have that taken away from him, I know by my actions, I know that's indescribable in words.
2 decades plus, it's a big chunk of your life, of your youth, spent behind bars. Do you remember what was going through your mind when the judge said that number?
I just knew I just threw away all my hopes and dreams. When I was found guilty The only thing that stuck in my mind was that I need to be able to survive this. I need to be able to do the right thing in order to come out of this on the other side, because there's nothing I can do to bring the victim back.
What's the biggest regret you have?
Picking up that gun. Picking up that gun, because that affected so many lives. It put so many people through pain. That is my biggest regret. Had I not picked up that gun, a lot of people wouldn't have gone through the pain and suffering that they have gone through.
What would you like to say to Ayman Marji if he was able to watch this right now?
He got what he deserved. He got what he deserved. He had no reason to kill my brother. No reason.
He said it was the result of ongoing turf war, reputation type stuff.
No, for them, because they ruled the city, they said. Him and his cousins, they were invincible, they said. They were gonna get away with it, of course. But no, there's a God. There is a God, and God knew exactly that it was wrong what they did. It was really wrong. Coming around and terrorizing neighborhoods and neighbors like this and good people.
Do you feel like justice was served?
In a way, there's nothing that could bring my brother back, but yes.
Does your family still live in fear of retaliation?
Yes, we do. Every day we do.
Still ahead.
I've seen cold-hearted killers. This young man, he made a stupid mistake.
Ayman Marji looks towards the possibility of parole after 18 years in prison, while his victim's family worries, could this killer be a free man in just 2 years?
I truly believe that a lot of kids can relate to my story.
How can he sit there and say that he wants to help young people? No.
When crime files shatter dreams, the Omar Torres Colon murder continues. Crime Files continues once again with Shattered Dreams, the Omar Torres Colon murder.
Why did you want to share your story with me?
Because I know my story can help save lives.
For almost 2 decades, Ayman Marji has had the chance to reflect on the 2004 murder of Omar Torres Colon. Now facing the possibility of parole, he told me he no longer seeks retribution, but forgiveness instead.
I'm not a bad person. I made a horrible decision that affected so many lives.
Have you forgiven yourself?
As far as forgiving myself, I was able to move forward with my life and try to make the best out of my life in this situation. Yes, I've done that. But to actually forgive myself, I don't think I'll ever forgive myself. Because I know how much pain and suffering I've caused so many people. So many people.
With just 2 years left on his sentence, Marji also says he wants to help young people when he gets out. And he's sharing his thoughts on the nation's ongoing gun violence crisis. What do you think can be done to stop this crisis of gun violence?
I'm glad you asked me that, because this is something that I've been thinking about for a long time now. Education to me is the most important key to helping curb and combat gun violence. But education alone in the school system is not enough. We need to expand the ways in which we teach our youth. Teach them how to become leaders instead of followers.
But not everyone is buying what Ayman Marji is selling, especially the family of Omar Torres Colon. Ayman Marji says he's sorry and that he's a changed man. Do you believe him?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. This man is evil. He needs to be in jail where he belongs. He's not changed. He's not. He's fooling everyone. And he's only sorry because he wants to come out.
So do you think it's all a show?
Yes, definitely a show. Definitely. You don't go up to a person and shoot him from behind and then make sure his brains are all spread in the street. That is so wrong. How can he sit there and say that he wants to help young people? No. You're the wrong person. No. I would not let my child near you, ever. Young kids? No.
While you certainly can understand why Colon's family would never like Marji to see the outside of a prison cell, there is someone who was slightly more forgiving, his arresting officer.
I believe he deserves a chance at life, I really do. You know, he's kind of owned up to what he's done, and he's trying to make a better man of himself, and he's trying to get out and maybe help other youngsters who could turn out to be the next Ayman.
I've seen cold-hearted killers. This young man, he made a stupid mistake, and I think that he would be a great person to release because I think his story will help a lot of young children.
The shame and the guilt that I live with on a daily basis will remain with me for the rest of my life. But to be able to understand that I can move forward from this motivates me and gets me to get by.
What do you wish you knew then that you know now?
Reputation doesn't mean anything. The things that mean most important in life is family, faith, and self.